Disney News Update time. Hi everyone, Wade for the Kingdom Report, back with you once again to bring you all the latest Disney news from coast to coast and around the world. Starting first today at the Disneyland Resort, where the last few years have been rough. That is a quote from Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock to the Orange County Register recently, saying, "So many people said to me that the Disneyland job is going to be the best job you've ever had. The first year was a pretty tough job, but the second year truly proved it is the best job in this company," close quote. A 27-year Disney veteran, Potrock took over as Disneyland Resort president in May 2020, about 2 months after the Anaheim theme parks were shuttered by the coronavirus pandemic. Little did Potrock or anyone else know at the time that Disneyland and California Adventure would be closed for 412 days. With the one-year anniversary of Disneyland and California Adventure's triumphant return in late April 2021 fast approaching, Potrock said the theme park resort has only just reached the halfway point of an extended phased reopening, with another year needed before operations fully return to pre-pandemic levels, saying, quote, "We've embarked on this legendary comeback," Potrock said. "We're more than halfway through it, but we've got another year," close quote. Change has been a constant at Disneyland over the past 2 years, from advanced reservations and a new annual pass holder program to pay-to-ride attraction access and an ambitious multi-decade expansion plan. The pace of change has sped up at the tradition-bound happiest place on earth. Quote, "The message that I keep delivering to my senior leadership team is we can't get tied up in the bureaucracy," Potrock said. "We are dynamic, innovative, and decisive. The team is so good that even if we don't get it right, we'll ultimately get it right because we'll adapt," close quote. Some of those changes have rankled the Disneyland faithful, who have taken to social media to voice their displeasure. Potrock knows the rollouts of some new services and experiences haven't been perfect, especially with a loyal annual pass holder audience extraordinarily aware of every move Disneyland makes, saying, "I tell the team again and again, we're going to try stuff and I'm okay if we don't get it perfect right away," Potrock said. "A lot of times, perfect gets in the way of excellence. We're really focused on doing the best we possibly can. We're going to listen and adjust as quickly as humanly possible. The team gets it, and that's the culture that we're trying to create," close quote. Potrock admits that they are not fully staffed yet, but are hiring every single week, saying that in addition to bringing back a majority of the pre-pandemic staff, Disneyland has now hired about 10,000 new employees. Quote, "We're never going to be back to where we were until those 10,000 people truly have it in their DNA as to what their role and what their mission is as we begin to move forward." Up next for Potrock, a State of the Disneyland Resort presentation in late April, saying we'll be able to announce a bunch of things that are continued improvements, opportunities, and experiences. We're going to talk about the impact that we're having on the community and how we're using our economic engine to rev up the economy here in Orange County and Anaheim in particular. Once again, thank you to the Orange County Register for that story. We move along to a story from blog Mickey concerning the Disney Cruise Line now removing physical distancing and changing safety protocols effective immediately. Disney Cruise Line releasing the statement that they are taking a phased approach to updating health and safety protocols on board, considering recently updated guidance from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. DCL, Disney Cruise Line, will update several health and safety measures for sailings beginning on or after April 1st, 2022, originating from a U.S. port of departure, saying some onboard products and experiences that were paused due to physical distancing protocols will resume in a phased approach. Protocol updates, among others, include lifting physical distancing across DCL ships and resuming self-service buffets. Face coverings are optional in most places on the ship, including the Walt Disney Theater. Port adventures will return to their traditional format where possible. At this time, the Sail Away celebration, the Pirates' Night Deck Party, and up-close character interactions continue to be paused. Protocols for sailings from Canadian and European ports may vary and will be communicated at a later time. Health and safety measures on each ship or fleet-wide may change at any time without notice. Next up, Newsweek is reporting that the Walt Disney Company's proclamation that it will somehow force an overturn of Florida's Parental Rights and Education bill that Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law last week could mean the loss of government perks that will lead to, quote, "a living hell" for the company, best known for family-friendly theme parks and movies, State Representative Anthony Sabatini told Newsweek this past Friday. Sabatini enthusiastically voted in favor of House Bill 1557 in February and has been one of its highest-profile proponents ever since Disney issued a March 28th decree, saying its, quote, goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by the legislature or struck down in the courts, close quote. In response, some lawmakers are threatening to reverse government favors that have benefited Disney since 1967 when Florida created something called the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This gave Disney taxing and other privileges and allowed it to act with the same authority and responsibility as a county government, a favor that made sense to politicians at the time since Disney was promising to turn 38.5 square miles of largely uninhabited pasture and swampland into a global destination, according to the RCID website. Quote, when Disney purchased land for its theme parks, it pushed through laws that said it was self-governing, Sabatini told Newsweek, adding they have their own police and fire departments and could even have their own nuclear power plant if they wished. If it were up to me, I'd call a special session and Disney would lose all of it. If they're governed by local authorities, it's not going to be pretty for them. They'll be subject to all sorts of crazy taxes, rules, and regulations. It will make life a living hell for them. They'll be regulated like everybody else, close quote. DeSantis, in fact, signaled during a Thursday press conference that he's open to the idea of reversing special privileges that have been carved out for Disney, though repealing corporate sales tax breaks are off the table since all businesses qualify for them. DeSantis said he'd be in favor of not allowing Disney to, quote, to have their own set of rules compared to everyone else, close quote. Such remarks seem to be an escalation of a feud that has largely been confined to the social issue of parental and LGBTQ rights, though now could have dramatic economic implications for both sides. Disney already weathered an employee walkout after workers said the company was too slow to speak up against the HB 1557, and many celebrities, including Mark Hamill of Disney's Star Wars franchise, have bashed Florida over its passage. Beyond Disney Corporate, the Disney Plus streaming service issued a separate March 22nd statement against HB 1557, in part reading, "We strongly denounce all legislation that infringes on the basic human rights of people in the LGBTQIA+ community, especially legislation that targets and harms young people and their families," close quote. The 7-page bill boils down to the notion that, quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 in a manner that is not age-appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards, close quote. But critics, like the Trevor Project, a mental health organization for LGBTQ youth, says the bill erases LGBTQ identity, history, and culture, and that vague parental notification requirements could effectively require teachers to out LGBTQ students. Such analysis is nonsense, says Sabatini. Quote, the bill is about K through 3rd grade. Let me repeat, K through 3rd, children ages 5, 6, and 7, he said. Disney's position is that these children need lessons about transgenderism and sexual orientation. If you need me to explain why that's wrong, it's a waste of my time, because it's so self-evident, close quote. Sabatini went on to say Disney's responding to radical leftist nut jobs in California. They're corporate cowards. Disney is about to lose all its governing status in Florida. The hammer is going to drop so hard on Disney that they're in full defense mode. Really bad things are going to happen, and they're freaking out, close quote. Once again, thank you to Newsweek for that story. And finally, from Yahoo News, they report that Jose Castillo, a current Walt Disney Company employee who is running for Congress in Florida as a Republican, recently said that Disney's new political activism may come back to bite the company in its pocketbook. Florida legislators have floated the idea of repealing the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act, which gives Disney the autonomy to effectively run its own government in the area around Disney World, in response to the company's recent advocacy against the Parental Rights law. Repealing the law would subject Disney World to the government of Orange County. Castillo warned that if Disney's advocacy against the law spurs this repeal, it will hurt the company's bottom line, especially if the company continues left-wing advocacy. Saying, quote, I think that if Disney is going to continue this leftward lurch and the legislator votes to give Disney the left-leaning policies that they've asked for, then they'll be subject to the tyrannical rule of the mayor of Orange County, which they will soon regret. If Disney falls under Orange County regulations and taxes, I suspect they'll think twice before pushing for more of them, close quote. Castillo declined to comment on whether he supports the Reedy Creek Improvement Act, but he did say that as a free market capitalist, he opposes, quote, the government giving special advantages to certain companies and individuals. It's not the government's job, he says, to pick winners and losers. Adding, it is also, probably in part because of these privileges and the considerable sway that Disney has in Florida, that creates the impetus for them to weigh in on issues such as the Parental Rights and Education bill. It bothers me when I read public statements saying things like, we believe the bill shouldn't have been passed. I've been with Disney for 13 years and I'm proud of my role in the company. When the company uses words like we, it should mean all of the cast members, and right now, that's not the case, close quote. Castillo previously told Fox News Digital that a silent majority of Disney employees support the law, even though the company has taken a public stance against it after LGBTQ employees protested. Despite critics branding it as the Don't Say Gay bill, HB 1557 does not ban the word gay in school settings. Neither does it ban casual discussions of topics relating to sexual orientation and gender identity in the classroom. It does not require schools to notify parents if their child identifies as gay or transgender. Quote, conservative Disney cast members are afraid to speak out because of the company's very public stance opposing the Parental Rights and Education bill, he said. I think that's a grave miscalculation on Disney's part because the vocal minority doesn't speak for the majority of cast members or the majority of Florida parents who don't want their young children to be taught about sexuality by public school teachers, close quote. Castillo also said that he believes in the mission of the Walt Disney Company, quote, but I believe the current trajectory of the company vowing to repeal this law is missing the essence of the principles upon which Disney was founded, close quote. Once again, thank you, Yahoo News, for those words. Thanks so much for being a part of today's Disney News Update. If you haven't done so already, we do encourage you to subscribe to the channel and make sure that notification bell is firmly rung so that you never miss a Disney News Update when it drops next. In addition to that, are you looking forward to the big plans that will be revealed this April at that Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock session that he is going to have? Certainly, we are looking forward to hearing what comes out of that session with all of his leaders at the resort and what's next for the happiest place on earth. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We'll see you next time for another installment of the Disney News Update.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.